Hey, what's going on? You in the field with the track stars, Ryan Righteous, Sean and DJ Jeremiah. What's good?
All right, for all things Trackstarz, make sure you go to trackstarswithaz.com. Follow us on Instagram at Trackstarz, Twitter at Trackstarz. Like the Facebook page, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and download the app. All right. So we have a special guest in the building, and I am so nervous about introducing this guest because this guest has been instrumental in our lives as the track stars, as we have come into radio, as we've come into music and media. And it has just been an honor to have her sit down with us. We got Marsha Meadows from, I can't even call you, I can just call you a music and media mogul. You have been a mentor of ours for a very long time. It goes as far back as when we were interning at Radio One. And I don't know if you remember this, but I was very eager to get on air. And in the Atlanta market, you know, you don't really get that opportunity because a lot of radio personalities start off in small markets and then they get brought into the bigger markets. Right. But I just wanted to learn something. And I remember coming to you and asking you to show me anything you could. And you asked me to sacrifice some time, come up to the radio station at night, and you would show me how to run the boards. Right. And you did that for me. And I was an intern at Radio One for about 6 to 8 months before I was offered a part-time position in the sales department. But I worked under you in the in the promotions department. And you did so many things instrumental in my life that I have to publicly thank you for. I can't say it enough.
Wow. That means so much.
Yes, and I don't remember if you were, I don't know if you remember, you gave me a very special going away / graduation from college gift where you allowed me to go on the Radio One cruises with you. And we started the Radio One Love cruise. And I was on the very first one. And then you took me on the next one and the next one. And I got to meet Kathy Hughes for the first time. I got to meet Jeff Majors. I got to meet Kurt Franklin and so many people that inspired us to want to do radio as well. So here you are. I cannot say enough about your resume. So just start from the beginning, because I know that you have a very unique story about who you are and how you got to where you are right now.
Right. So first of all, I'm a small town country girl from Albany, Georgia. And I was telling someone the other day, I always had dreams of being on the radio. So as a child, I have a picture of my brother and I sitting in front of a radio. I mean, we were like 5 and maybe 7 years old. And we had the headphones on and I would listen to the radio growing up. And I was always recording the DJs on the radio, trying to sound like them, trying to be like them. So that was instilled in me at a very young age. So I always had a love for radio. So when I moved to Atlanta to go to school at Georgia State, there was a young man there named Chris Bridges, who we affectionately know as Ludacris. And he and I were friends. And at that time, Hot 97.5 had just started. So I was like, oh man, Chris, I hear you, interning at that radio, the new radio station. Can you get me an internship? And he was like, yeah, let me check it out. And then he came back. He said, I got you the internship. I was like, what? So that's where the whole story begins. And also Lala Anthony was an intern. It was me, Chris, Shaka Zulu, who's his manager, and Lala. We were all there together. It started out, and Lala was still in high school. But when I was intern, I was learning every department. I think I told you to learn every department so that you'd have a better chance of getting a position and then you move your way up. So after my internship, when I graduated from college, they loved what I was doing so much, they created a position for me out of college called Special Events Coordinator. And from there, I was doing all of the like small events like high schools and those, small concerts that we would do in the community. And then how I got on the radio is a funny story. So this was probably like the last year of Freaknik. It was probably like the last hoorah.
Atlanta OG.
Right. It was the last hoorah of Freaknik, right? And so the MTV had this stage on Auburn Avenue, like kind of where the park is at the end. What's the name of that park? Right there, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
The bridge.
Yep.
Yeah. So they had a big stage, right? But the traffic at Freaknik was so stupid. No one could get to the stage. But as intern, I was already at the stage, right?
Mm-hmm.
But none of the personalities like Chris and Poon and all the other personalities couldn't make to the stage because of the traffic. So Mary Catherine Sneed, she was like, you're going to have to go on stage and host. I was like, we'll say what now? Mary Catherine say what? I got to go on. I've never done it before. So MTV was filming. I went on stage. I hosted, got the crowd hype, introduced the artists and everything. And she was like, after that, she's like, oh my God, you did such a great job. I'm going to give you a night show. Mm-hmm. I was like, my first shift was the 2 to 6 a.m. the overnight. So she was testing me out. And I was trying to come up with the name. And my name was, I thought my name was going to be Shawty Red. My name was going to be Shawty Red. So look, so I went to Ryan Cameron. I said, Ryan, because I was also Ryan's assistant at the time. I said, Ryan, what do you think about the name Shawty Red? He's like, girl, no, you are not going to be Shawty Red. He said, your name should be Eminem because your name is Marsha Meadows. So I was like, oh. He was like, yeah, the sweetest thing on your radio. I was like, oh, wow. I like that.
Never knew who helped you come up with that.
That's dope.
Yeah, that's so Ryan helped me come up with that. Because otherwise I was about to be Shorty Red on y'all.
You was ahead of your time.
Anyway,
I said you was ahead of your time because Shorty Red ended up being the producer of a lot of trap music. But yeah, so
right.
You was ahead of your time.
So I was working in the office during the day and doing my radio show at night. So I would work at 9 to 5, go get a nap, and then come back and do my radio show. And then I was promoted to music director, to programming assistant, and then eventually promotions director. And ironically, I was in charge of the same internship program that I started in. I became the head of it. And a lot of interns came through that came through the program that I was managing, like E.T., Shanika, whole lot of personalities. DJ Holiday. Yeah, it's
Bistro.
The list,
Bistro was an intern at one time.
Yeah, it's a whole lot. I mean, so many people come to me like, I was your intern. It's like, you were. He's like, and thank you. I'm in the music industry. I'm doing this. I'm just like, wow, that means so much to me that I was able to have that impact in people's lives. And so eventually, I was doing planning birthday bash every year. And then Mary Catherine was promoted to COO of the company, and she needed an executive assistant. So she was like, would you, become my executive assistant? I was like, sure. So she and I were the only two people out of corporate in Atlanta. So we had our own office built in a separate area of the building. And eventually she was like, you know what? We have 60 stations in 20 markets. We need someone to oversee all the marketing efforts. She's like, would you like to be VP of marketing? I was like, oh yeah, I would love to be VP of marketing. But here's the kicker. Again, that position did not exist before me. She created the position for me. And so as VP of marketing, I oversaw like 60 stations in 20 markets. So I was traveling, going to all the cities, all of our markets, helping them streamline their marketing efforts, and streamlining our marketing efforts across the country. And this is when we began to do national promotions. So I would do national promotions with the record labels, national contesting, and national events. So a couple of those events are Spring Fest that we used to do in Jamaica and Miami. Which was huge. Ryan, did you ever come to Spring Fest with me?
No, I didn't. I just went to the Bahamas and Cozumel. Okay.
Okay. And then another one was the One Love Gospel Cruise, which I created, which started out small, but it grew to be a big promotion for Radio One. And Also, the Dirty Awards, which was an award show
remember
that.
that.
we used to do.
We used to have a
Just for
drama about
Southern,
that.
look, it was just for Southern artists, and we brainstormed and we came up with the concept, and I planned it. I think we did it for like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
And the award, if you remember, the award was a pimp cup.
It was. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and then what else we did? We did the Russ Parr bus tour. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Russ Parr, but for back to school, we would rent out a big RV and wrap it with a tour bus and wrap it with Russ, and we tour all of his markets for back to school. So I was very busy as VP of marketing.
Well, Marsha, I don't think people realize how influential you were for urban radio. You know, not just the careers that you helped make, but also the different people that you have managed over time and have brought up. And what you're doing right now has just been so phenomenal. Can you talk a little bit about, the people that you've managed? Because we have artists that listen to our show and listen to the podcast, and they're wondering how you do it from start to finish. And you've walked someone through an entire career, and you've had success on major levels. Can you talk about those artists and how you help break them?
Well, at Radio One, one of my primary responsibilities was to work with the record labels to promote their new artists when they were coming out. So I would come up with campaigns nationwide across the all of our radio stations to do promotions for new artists. So if a new song came out, I was out there promoting it. So like either Chris Brown when he first came out, Trey Songz, Sierra, a lot of them I would put on that Russ Parr bus tour when they were new artists, and they would go around the country to get familiar with our audience. So so many, oh my goodness. But I never really managed them, but I would come up with campaigns when they first came out. The record labels, I would do visits up to New York all the time and go visit all the labels. And they would always let me listen to the new songs from the new artists. Like I would hear Chris Brown stuff before it came out, or Trey Songz stuff before it came out. And it's like, which one do you think is a single? I'm like, Run It is a single for Chris Brown. Y'all need to run that. Like, So and then I remember, one time I was in Miami doing a scouting visit for Springfest, and I went to a nightclub and I heard Rick Ross Hustling for the first time. Every day I'm hustling. And the club went crazy. I was like, oh my God, what is this record? Who is that? So I went up to the DJ booth. I'm like, look, I need to know, who is this artist? What is this song? And I need a copy of it, like right now. And so got a copy of it. And then I sent it out to all of the program directors. I'm like, this song is fire. And when we did Springfest, I was like, we got to put Rick Ross on Springfest because it was in Miami, so he was just coming out. So it's like little stories like that,
that's huge.
That they don't know, that I was involved in some of their promotion early on. But it's countless artists like that. But when I left Radio One, I kind of went into, and I'll just be a little transparent, because Radio One, I was single, no kids. I was married to that job. You hear me? Like, that was my life. I woke up in the morning and for years, do 9 to 5, go home, take a nap, go back and do my radio show. And that went on for maybe 8 to 10 years like that. So I was dedicated and married to that job. So when I left and I resigned, I went into a deep depression. Because it was like my identity had been stripped away from me. You know what I mean? Because I identified myself so much with that. And then, so many people that I've helped along the way, or people, I could pick up the phone and call a lot of people and get them on the phone when I was at Radio One, or I could get to them and touch them real easy. And when I left Radio One, I didn't have that access anymore. Like, people would not pick up my calls, would not return my calls. And it made me realize that people were, as long as you're able to do something for them, or you're in a position to do something for them, these are people that I really thought were my friends. You know what I mean? And when I wasn't in position anymore, I didn't have the access. So I was just like, oh, that sent me into a whole nother depression. You know what I mean? So I had to build myself back up and affirm myself. And I started doing affirmations, and I started going within, you know, and realizing the power that I have and the ability that I have to make things happen when I put my mind to something, or I speak life into something, or if I concentrate on something real hard and that's my focus, I always manifest it. And I had to realize that I lost sight of that. You know what I mean? Because my identity had been taken, and I thought that was who I was.
Wow.
So I had to come into realization of who I was as a creator and as a child of God, to go out and reinvent myself and still make things happen. So then Kenton Jones called me. So, because he had heard about it, and Kenton and I were good friends, and I had put him on One Love. He was on all the One Love gospel cruises. Yeah. You know, whenever I called Kenton, I even put Kenton on Birthday Bash one year. Remember that year that Kenton opened up Birthday Bash? And I was like, we're going to set the atmosphere. And I took him to Springfest too. He opened up Springfest in Miami. I was like, although we finna do this hip hop, I'm finna give y'all some gospel hip hop to start it off right. You know what I mean?
And he always killed it. And it's hard for artists that people don't know to kill Birthday Bash. Like I've seen,
exactly.
I don't want to mention who. It'll be embarrassing.
Came up with that. There's no other name other than you.
They killed it.
Yes.
What?
I've seen artists. I've seen famous artists bomb at Birthday Bash, and he killed it.
So, you know, Kenton, he remembered everything, you know, that I did for him in that Radio 1 arena. And he called, he's like, okay, so what's your next move? What you doing? I was like, I really don't know. Trying to figure it out. And he was like, well, come on over here. I need you to manage me. I was like, okay. So, it was just that easy. He came over because I had a good relationship with his wife. You know, she was managing and, you know, helping him out too. And so she was like, yeah, come on over. We need your help. Come on. We're going to make this thing pop. I was like, okay. And so then started managing Kenton. And then I had put Shay Atkins on a couple of shows too. And Shay called me. And she's like, what are you doing? I'm like, well, I'm managing Kenton. She's like, I need a manager too. I was like, well, okay. Let me add you to my roster. I was like, and so then Edward Long called me, and he was doing a radio show with Dwan Coleon, and it was called The Good Life. The Good Life. And they needed a radio co-host. And so he was like, why don't you come on and co-host with us? I was just like, well, okay. He's like, and I need a manager too. I was like, well, okay then. I was all right, God. So this is the direction you're taking me in. And so then I had, you know, Big Ran, oh my God, Ifani,
Justin,
Sean Tate, Justin, and my roster was full, and we was doing things. We did a little tour, the Kings and Queens tour, and we would go around, you know, we rent a little 15 passenger van, and we hit the streets. And but here's the thing, they didn't know that I was still struggling with who I was and my confidence of, you know, of my identity. So what I thought I was going to do in managing them was connect them with all of my radio and record connects. But like I said earlier, when I wasn't in that power position of Radio 1, I couldn't get people on the phone. Wow. You know what I mean? Yeah. I felt like I wasn't being the full-on manager that they needed me to be because I didn't have those connects anymore. Yeah. So I just walked away from it, and I was just like, y'all deserve better than me. And although we did do a lot, you know, and got a lot accomplished, I felt like I recognized that I wasn't able to get them where they needed to be. And so I walked away from that. And then, so in the process of still rebuilding myself, and I took a break, and then I met my ex-husband.
Interesting.
We're supposed to be an interview, guys. This is almost fun. Like A couch session with
Look, I'm just
Trackstarz.
talking. I'm like, let me let y'all talk. I'm just over here talking. Let me let y'all talk.
This is fascinating.
No, it's great. It's great. It's good to listen.
People are hitting up the chat. People are texting me saying, I want to meet her. I want to meet her. So,
oh my gosh.
I don't know if you know how you're on one side of the camera,
Right.
but we're watching you tell an iconic story.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I would literally compare you to the P. Diddy of the Christian gospel world. The way you started and where you are today and all the potential that you have going forward. I just got your new book. Got your new book, and you have just transformed your talents because you still work in radio. A lot of people, we haven't mentioned that you still work in radio, so you're still very influential in the media and music space, and you have so many artists that are gravitating to you because of who you are and the relationships that you've built over the years. Because every time I see a DM from you or think about DMing you, I always say, no, you know what? She was my mentor. I can't ask my mentor for this, that, and the other. And, to be completely honest with you, we've talked several times that this show was based on the fact that we watched all the different relationships that you allowed us to create and how much access you gave us as Trackstarz. I don't know if you remember this, but we were at Praise in the Park and you put us on the bus with Darwin Hobbs and Darlene McCoy and Canton Jones. And I mean, we had so many artists that were saying, shout out to Trackstarz, shout out to Trackstarz. And that was on our first our first air check. And it really propelled us and pushed us forward. And so we thank you for all the success that we've had and how instrumental you were in just giving us access and giving us free will. Because Sean and I, when we met at Radio 1 and decided to do Trackstarz, it was because of all the equipment and all the access and all the tools that we had at our disposal because we had someone like you in our corner.
You know what, that means so much to me, and it's just like I love to hear those type of stories. Like I forget a lot of the things that I've done, and like to me, something that was so simple as just putting y'all on the bus. You know what I mean? Yeah. Putting you on a bus, I didn't think it would have such an impact.
Huge.
You know what I'm saying? Because it was just wow. Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah. That truly is amazing.
Having people along the way to open doors for you just makes a world of difference. So we really appreciate you.
Yeah. I have a question real quick. You said earlier about being a program director, and I think people sometimes don't understand how radio works. Can you explain that to them? Like, what is the role of a program director and how that affects what we hear on radio?
Right. So the program director, he controls everything that you hear on the radio, from the music, the DJs, the promotions, the contesting, the everything that you hear, the little stingers that you hear, like Trackstarz, the Christian Breakfast Club, like even the sound of the radio, that's programming. So radio has three major departments. That's programming, promotions, and sales. And all of them work in tandem to make the station run. So programming controls what you hear, the imaging, the music, how often you hear the music. Some people be like, I get tired of hearing the same songs. That's the program director. He's the one controlling, how often you hear that song, when you hear that song. It's all a strategic plan of how they program the music on the station. And then you have promotions. Promotions controls all of the contesting, when you see the radio station out in the community, all of the events they plan, all of those. So promotions and programming work in tandem. And then you got the sales department. That's all of the commercials that you hear. And without sales, you have no radio station, because that's how the station makes the money. So a lot of people are like, I hate hearing these commercials, but if you didn't hear the commercials, there would be no radio station. So sales is very important, and all three work together to create the sound of the radio station and to work with clients to incorporate them into the station to make it sound, to make their promotions and their commercial sound fit the station so that it will be received by the audience. Yeah.
How does an independent artist get on the radar of a program director?
Okay, so every I'm not going to say every, most radio stations have what they call a music day, and on music day they open up and you can call the radio station and find out what day their music day is, and they'll let you come up and you'll meet with the music director, and they will listen to your song. They'll give you feedback. Now, I was music director at one time. Did y'all know that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I was a music director, and I would have to have music day with the independent artists, and I would take them into the production room. I would listen to their track, and some of them didn't like me because
how much time do you give them? Because I remember watching when Young Jock came in for his day.
Right.
I think it was like 25 seconds maybe, and it's like
because you could tell you could tell from the first 25 seconds, 30 seconds if that song is trash or if it's a hit.
Yeah.
And so I would usually give them like a minute or two to play their best song that they were interested in getting on the radio, and then I would give feedback. I was just like, this sounds like you did it on a keyboard in your mama closet, and you need to go back. And you need to go back and put some more work into this. This is not radio ready. And if they like the song, then we have usually these contests that they call battlegrounds or where they put dig it or dish it, and or they'll put two songs against each other and people vote, and then I've seen a lot of songs make it from there onto the radio. So
Marsha, what years were you music director? Do you remember? Because I want to tell you about a story.
It had to be maybe 98 or 99, maybe. I think.
Because I remember being in a new music listening days used to happen in the conference room on our lunch breaks. And I remember getting an email like, hey, we got a label here that wants to showcase their new artists, and they brought food for everybody. If you'll just come listen, you can get a plate. Yeah. And I remember going in there, and I met the artist, and I shook her hand. I said, hey, how you doing? Nice to meet you. And she shook my hand back, and she said, my name is Sierra. And I was just like, okay, didn't know who she was. And then next thing I know, she's at the Ryan Cameron's softball game singing her new single, and then she blows up from there. And there was so many stories of that.
Yeah, it's things like that we used to do, and I would be in charge of that as promotions director. Organizing those, new music. The labels would do that all the time, because when they had a new artist, they want to bring in and cater lunch or or breakfast or whatever, so the artist could get some exposure and meet the radio DJs. So there's multiple stories like that. Sierra,
was very smart. Yeah.
I have one last question, just real quick. You think we're ready as being a professional as you are and hearing music and stuff? Do you think Christian hip hop is ready for FM radio, like a station where people would listen to?
Yes, I do. And I tell you that I've thought that way ever since Kanye did Jesus Walks with me. And I was like, if that can blow up on the radio, people are ready to receive it. It just has to sound like what they are already listening to. It really comes down to the beat. Really, it really comes down to the track. And if it's bumping and if the flow is right and the hook is catchy, and you don't have to, I'll tell, when I was managing the gospel artists, it's like, you don't have to be preachy in your music. That's what's going to turn them off. Like, meet them where they are and put messages in your music that will resonate with them, but not preaching to them. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I was in Orlando one time, and I did hear an all Christian hip hop radio station. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, I can't remember the name of it.
It's Why Hot.
Yeah. I was like, this is so dope. I was like, oh my God, like, yes. I call it conscious hip hop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of Christian artists need to not, when you label yourself Christian, you won't make it to the mainstream radio. I mean, you'll make it on the gospel stations, but when you go to a program director of a major hip hop station and say, I'm a Christian rapper,
Oh
Most
no,
of
we
them
know.
don't tune out.
We've
Oh,
been
yeah, we
there.
know
They don't
firsthand.
tune out.
We took a song there and they were like,
The
I like
107.9.
this. I like this, but I see you trying to sneak that Jesus stuff in here. That's not gonna work. I was like, okay.
But Kanye can do it though.
Yeah.
The whole song is Jesus walks with me.
Yeah.
So it's proof that, you know, the audience will receive it. It's just how you package it.
And that's why we started the show, because ever since we left Radio 1, we've been trying to prove that this has legs, like this can work. And I think over the years we finally proved that this works. The music got good enough, and thanks to Canton Jones and Lecrae, the production got good enough to where it can compete with what's out there already.
Yeah, definitely. And Canton, when I started managing, like Canton had some songs that was so fire. I was just like, oh my God, this needs to be Canton. He gets it. I'll just say that.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Canton totally gets it, and he's not preachy in some of his singles that people would receive it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it's all in the packaging of how you do it. So I think it's needed. I'll say that. It's very much needed. So because right now, music is energy, and all you're hearing is gang, gang, shoot 'em up. Ladies are becoming the new men with the thought culture, and it's affecting our youth. It's affecting our people. And when you listen to those types of lyrics all the time, and that's all you hear, guess what? That's going to be your mentality.
Yeah.
Some people don't take it as just entertainment, because music is energy. Music can make you feel happy, can make you feel sad, it can motivate you, it can make you happy. It's energy. So when you keep putting that energy and it's broadcasted in the atmosphere, radio waves, and you wonder why we have the issues that we have in our communities.
Right.
That's good.
So
not
Marsha,
blaming it on music.
Yeah.
Not blaming it on music, but it has something to do with it.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. So Marsha, you took your creativity and all of your radio and you put your pen to a pad and you wrote a book.
Right.
I Am Perfectly Me. Affirmations. Yes. I Am Perfectly Me. Affirmations from A to Z. Yes. And that's and the artwork on it is amazing. Who did your artwork?
Her name is Courtney Monday.
Okay, wow. She
Courtney
did a great
Monday.
job.
Yes, she did a great job with the illustrations. So I've always done affirmations, Okay. When I was at Radio 1, I saw the power that I had, like I was saying before, when I speak something or I claim something, or and even if I speak negatively on something, it manifested in my life. And so I've always done affirmations, and when I left Radio 1, affirmations became a big part of me rebuilding myself and affirming myself. And then when I got married, I would do affirmations for our family. We would do, and I would set it to music and record it. So in the morning we'd have an upbeat affirmations, and I would set our affirmations for the year, and it would be like to an instrumental of All I Do Is Win. Okay. And we would do our affirmation, and then at night I would record them to like a meditation instrumental, and we would go to sleep at it, and I would just let it play all night. So we subliminally was getting the affirmations. We was claiming things for our family, every year. And so when the boys were born, I decided that I was going to get them started doing affirmations from an early age, because when you're young, your parents affirm you. You're awesome. You're great. You're so handsome or beautiful. You're smart. You're talented. But, kids can be cruel, and they can get all kind of other negative words spoken over them from school. You're not this. You're ugly. You're fat. Your shoes. Kids can be mean. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I didn't want my kids to ever listen to the words of other people, speaking over them. I wanted them to speak over themselves and believe in themselves. So I decided to, get them started with affirmations early, and I would put it in their prayers. So we would say, God, because you are, I am. So I would start saying, I am smart. And they repeat after me, I am kind, I am loving, I am healthy, I am intelligent, I am brave. And then eventually I stopped telling them what to say. And they started doing their own affirmations. So I was like, okay, they get it. And I realized that they really got it when my smallest son, Wesley, my youngest son, I said, what are you? He said, I'm a little G. I was like, hold on. I said, oh, wait, I had to back out. Like, hold on, wait a minute, partner. We are not gangsters over here. So he was like, no, mama. He said, I'm a little G and God is the big G.
Oh,
I was like,
nice.
Wow, he really gets it. Yeah. So I had the idea to do the book years ago and I just sat on it. I was like, well, I believe that I've never heard of kids doing affirmations. Yeah. It's always, I've heard it from an adult perspective, but I've seen little videos of this little girl who was in the mirror, speaking to herself. And I was like, I saw that years ago, but I've never really seen people focus on kids affirming themselves. Mm-hmm. So I thought this would be a great idea to do the book, but marriage, kids, work, all of that got in the way and I never did anything with it. So when COVID hit, I figured this would be the perfect time to do it because I noticed that my boys, even though they're very confident, their confidence started diminishing a little bit with that new virtual learning environment.
Oh, yeah.
Not feeling like they're smart enough and then not really getting information. And so I had to keep affirming them. You can do it. You're great. I was like, well, if they're experiencing this and they're pretty confident, how many other kids are feeling the same way? And I was looking at CNN not too long ago, and they're talking about all the mental health issues that are arising in kids and adults from being at home, working virtually and not having the contact with other people and how it's draining people mentally and especially the youth. So I was like, oh, wow. Well, this book is right on time. So I decided to put it out and put it together.
Yeah. So I'm excited about it. I can't wait to read it to my girls when it arrives. Tell us a little bit more about what your vision is for the book. Where do you hope to place it out?
Well,
what's the idea?
I would love to. Well, my vision when God gave it to me is that the book would go worldwide into other countries. So when you look at the book, my sons Willie and Wesley, they are the main characters. So that's Wesley right there. And that's Willie in the green shirt. They're the main characters in the book. And they talk about how affirmations help them to believe in themselves. And then if you look on the cover, you have kids of all nationalities and ethnicities. So I wanted to make sure that every kid could see themselves in the book, so Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, Muslim, whoever, because all kids need affirming, Right. So, and to believe in themselves and, we need confident leaders of tomorrow. So my hope is that it will get into the schools. I really want to get it into children's hospitals because those kids really need to believe in themselves and, and speak over themselves, in their healing while they're in the hospitals. I wanted to get it into the juvenile facilities, into foster cares, foster homes, to every child that I could possibly reach. I want to get this book in their hands.
Well,
so, yeah.
Well, you have our support and whatever you need for us to do to help you, get it out, we will definitely do that. And
Thank you.
You sent me a song. Talk about the song that you sent me and the surprise that you guys are dropping in 2 weeks.
So when I wrote the book, God gave me the idea to do a song to go with the book. Now, originally I was going to do it myself. But I was like, that is not my ministry. I am not a rapper. So, so I was like, okay, who could I get to record this song? So, who I called? Canton. So I called Canton and I said, bro, listen, I wrote this book. I'm going to send you a PDF of it. Look at it. I have an idea to do a song for it. He was like, oh man, that's dope. He's like, my son Dominion is a rapper. I said, he is, and he's 12. I said, oh my goodness. He's like, that'd be perfect for Dominion to do it because it's a kid's book. And so I gave them ideas. I sent them a PDF, and they came back. I sent them a track too, because Tico Hudson had done a track for me for it. And I sent them the track. And so about a week later, I checked in with him. He's like, I'm sending you the song tonight. I'm like, what? Like, they knocked it. He's like, they knocked, because you know, Ken has a studio in his home.
Yeah.
So they went and knocked it out. And when I heard it, I was like, this embodies everything that I wanted the song to be. And guess what? Dominion did the track himself.
Wow.
And everything. He did the track, wrote it, and all the kids in the background repeating after him. That's Canton's whole tribe. That's all his kids. Like, I got a funny story about Canton, right? So when I was pregnant with my first son, Canton and Ramona had just had a baby, and I think it was maybe their second child or whatever. So I told him I was pregnant. He's like, girl, come over here and get this crib and this changing table and this chair, all this stuff, because we're not having any more babies. I was like, okay. I said, okay. So we went and look, Kenton gave me the crib, the changing table, everything we needed for our first child. And then about 2 years later, Ramona popped up pregnant again. I said, hey, you need this crib?
Oh, yeah.
And that was like 2 or 3 babies later. I was like, Ramona, I thought you wouldn't have no more babies.
How many did they have all together?
I think 5.
Yeah,
I think it's like 4 or 5. Is it 4? Yeah, but this was like after Dominion was born. She's like, we're not having any more babies. Come get all this baby stuff. I was like, okay. So I'm excited about the song. So we're shooting a video for it soon.
Well, make sure we get the video as soon as it's done, so we can pop it into the show and put it up on our YouTube page.
Yes,
Tell everybody how they can find you on social media, how they can follow you, and how they can get the book.
Okay, so they can get the book at shopiamperfectlyme.com, or just go to Amazon, put in I Am Perfectly Me or my name, and it'll pop up. And you can follow me on Instagram at I Am Marsha Meadows and at Shop I Am Perfectly Me.
Well, Marsha, we appreciate your time. We're gonna go ahead and prophesy that I can see this turning into a cartoon one day for you. So I really hope
somebody said that. Yay.
Yeah. Oh, good. So we hope that it just does everything that God wanted it to do when He gave it to you. But we appreciate your time. Like I said, there's so many people that have said something in the chat or have either texted me that they want to meet you. So we have to arrange something. When our studio opens back up, we would love to have you come back to our studio.
Yeah.
I would definitely do that. You know, I love it. I love it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Yes.
All right.
Let's get back into it. You in the field with the Trackstarz, Ryan Righteous, Sean Tan, and DJ Jeremiah. Let's